morning, everyone. Happy Saturday. Welcome to Connected with Carrie. I am your producer, your host, Carrie Hansen. Welcome to the show. This is Jess TV, Jess FM here in Lethbridge, which, Jesse, thank you for having us on every single week. Today with me, I have Marina. Welcome to the show. Thank you for being my special guest tonight. Really, this is amazing. You sent me in your bio, and I was like, holy smokes, this lady is incredible. And I was like, I can't wait to find out a little bit more about you, even though your bio is just so incredible as it is. So now we get to introduce you to the world.
Thanks for having me. I'm excited.
Awesome. I know it's so great that you're able to do this kind of short notice, it's always kind of a hard thing to do when, with everything going on, especially with your schedule right now, as you are a huge busy lady with everything in your schedule. So I'm glad you were able to squeeze me in before you run off back to the States to do some interesting work, which we'll get into here in a minute. First of all, yes, happy Saturday to you as well, Marina. And hopefully you're staying safe through our situation in the world today. Welcome. So please tell us a bit about yourself, a little bit what you do, and then we'll get into a little bit more from there.
So I actually grew up in Lethbridge, and I moved to New York City about 15 years ago to be a Broadway performer. Well, I didn't move to be a Broadway performer. I moved to dance in a ballet company. But I fell into Broadway and love it. And right now, before COVID, not right now, but before COVID hit, I tour with the hit Broadway show Wicked. We were actually supposed to be in Calgary this summer, fun fact, but.
And then, of course, everything took a mad turn.
Yes, life has changed for me dramatically, but it actually has been very exciting to be here in Alberta with my family for the first time in many, many years. Actually, I spent Christmas with my mom at home at her house for the first time in 18 years this year.
Wow. So it's not necessarily a bad thing. It was
it's, silver linings.
That's right. As they say, silver linings. So when you've been at home, obviously all productions have stopped, because there's no Broadway shows, everything's complete. Have you been actively doing things at home, like with your crew, still like doing Zooms or things like that with the cast, or how's that kind of been working?
So with my cast from Wicked, we've done a couple projects, like video projects together. We made a voter video for the US election just to encourage people to get out and vote. So that was really fun for us. And we've done a couple other little videos to, keep in contact with our audience. But we do occasionally have company-wide Zoom meetings where we chat about, our lives, what's happening, when we think we're coming back to work. Because it's not just us, obviously, all live theater has been put on pause. So all of our lives have changed dramatically this year. So it's kind of nice to be able to have that, contact with our cast.
Yeah, I can imagine. It's, a lot of people that are kind of watching and tuning in as they don't really know. I know a little bit about performing and musical theater. I've done a little bit of musical theater in high school, but I've done some performing over the years. But when you have a performance, you have this mad schedule of like, okay, you need to be here at this time and we're doing this. And then there's certain numbers and songs and on and on. So if you want to tell everybody a little bit about what your schedule was before.
So for a Broadway performer, whether you're performing in New York on Broadway or whether you're on tour, our schedule is in general the same. We work 6 days a week every week. We get generally Mondays off. That can change from show to show, but we do work 6 days a week and we generally do 8 shows in those 6 days. So 2 of our work days have 2 shows each. So we do matinee shows either 2 or 3 days a week and then evening shows either 4 or 5 days a week. In addition to that, we also have rehearsal, cast-wide rehearsal, which can take place anywhere from 4 to 8 hours a week, depending on what you do with the show. And then we also have some charity projects that we're involved with kind of on the side as well. Like we do a lot of workshops and community outreaches, particularly when we're on tour. We like to reach out to the local community and give back.
And
So
how
that's what my normal week is like.
Okay, so what have you guys been doing for the community programs?
It depends on where we are. We have several programs where they'll bring in school kids and they'll have a meet and greet with our cast, or we'll teach a workshop. We also we kind of pick different things in every city. We'll sometimes go and volunteer at a soup kitchen or sing at a senior lodge, or it really depends on where we are and what is happening in the community there. But we do a lot with kids on the road, particularly.
What has been one of your favorite projects that you've done?
In terms of show projects or in terms of like community outreach?
How about both?
In terms of show projects, I think that Wicked definitely is my favorite show that I've worked on. It's a really wonderful production company to work for, and it's a wonderful group of people. It's very family oriented. And because the show has been so long running, we have people who have worked for Wicked for, the 15 years that it's been in existence. So it's very family oriented and it feels like a real community. In terms of community outreach, for me, I think my personal favorite, I taught a volunteer class in Baltimore, and it was inner city kids who had never seen a musical. And I taught them a little bit of the show before they came to see us. And just watching them experience theater for the first time was really special for me.
Oh, that is so sweet. That's so cute. I love little kids and their expressions, and then they just like get into it and they have fun with it too. Did you like bring little kids up and do little skits with them, or?
We normally meet with them outside of the performance. So I meet with them at like a rehearsal studio and have a couple hours with them. Oh, my dog is crying now.
Bring them up, bring them up. Let's show everybody your dog. She said, okay, when we first came in, we did sound check. She's got her little dog in, and I was like, oh, you're a little dog. And she's like,
this is Gandalf.
Gandalf
also tours with me on my shows. So Gandalf has been on tour with 5 different Broadway shows. He has been to 45 of the United States.
Wow.
Canada, Mexico. So he's a pro. He's a Broadway pro as well. He actually had his own write-up. The Broadway Union has like a magazine that they put out quarterly. And last year, around this time, actually, he had his own like full-page write-up in the Union magazine about his touring experience.
Oh, wow. Does anyone else bring their dogs along or any animals along with them?
Yeah, actually, on the Wicked tour, we have about 15 dogs that we travel with, I think. A couple cats and some ferrets that travel with us. And on previous tours that I've done, it's always about the same. I toured with cats. Last year, we had about 9 dogs on tour with us. So, yeah.
And then do they have like a little kennel that you guys can put them in at the theater, or you just leave them in
so it depends on the show and what the rules are. So sometimes they can come to the theater and sometimes they can't. Also depending on what the rules at the local theaters are. If I can bring him to the theater, Gandalf generally sits in my dressing room. He usually sleeps on my chair while I'm on stage. Otherwise, he stays at the hotel or the Airbnb, wherever we are.
Yeah. That's actually really neat because no one really thinks about, as if you think about a musical theater or when you think about any type of a play or performance, you always think about the actual performance. You don't really necessarily know what goes on behind the scenes. And there's so much that happens behind the scenes, of course, but we'll get into that in a second. If you want to kind of explain to everyone as well what Wicked is, because some people may not know what the musical theater show is about. And yeah, some people have heard of it, some people haven't. I have, but I've never seen it though. I've seen Cats, but I haven't seen Wicked yet. So hopefully.
Yeah, so Wicked is the best way for me to describe it is that it's an alternate view on the Wizard of Oz. It focuses around the two witches, the Wicked Witch of the West and Glinda, the Good Witch, and sort of how they became to be known as they are. It really focuses on, there's some great themes that happen in Wicked. One of them is not judging a book by its cover. One of them is strong female friendships, which really resonates with me personally. But yeah, I think that's the best way to describe it. It's an alternate view on the Wizard of Oz.
And how does that resonate to you? As you said, it was a personal kind of a story.
So the two main witches, Elphaba, who is the Wicked, she's, part of the story is that what is wicked, what makes us wicked. So Elphaba, the Wicked Witch, and Glinda, the Good Witch, it's, there's a lot of story about how they became friends, what challenges face females in general with their friendships, and in the world, how we're perceived, how society shapes us into what we are. And for me, that really resonates, particularly, maintaining female friendships when the world around us is sort of oftentimes against us as women. So.
Right. Especially right now when we can't even go and meet a lot of our friends.
Yeah.
We can do Zoom meetings, we can do FaceTime, we can, well, maybe some people have actually been kind of going for walks, but keeping distance, things like that. But it's pretty rare that a lot of people are actually getting together, like you said. Sometimes we have situations where we can't meet up with other people because we're living with other people that are, more prone to getting the COVID or things like that. So it's kind of our judgments that we're making in these times, and it's very difficult to keep those connections alive, but hopefully we are. It's everyone's in their own headspace right now, I think, and it's very difficult. So it's good. I'm glad that you're able to share that and being able to continually reach out to people. That's very important.
Yeah, I think right now for all of us, it's important to realize that we're all different. Everyone's a different person, and each person has a different comfortability level. So being understanding right now is, I think, number one for all of us, and being able to reach out to our friends and to rely on them it's huge for me right now.
Yeah, absolutely. And I can just imagine, because now everyone kind of sees your schedule, what you guys had. You're literally together for probably 12 hours a day.
Mm-hmm.
And now you guys see each other, a Zoom meeting here and there for an hour or so. And
yeah, I mean, yes, we live, travel, and work together. So, even when we're not at work, we're often with each other outside of work. And suddenly one day, with not very much notice, we were all, sent back to wherever we came from and really haven't seen each other since. So it's, it was a drastic change for most of us.
mm-hmm.
And it's been hard, especially right now. There's a lot of uncertainty with theater and when it will be safe for people to be back in an audience. And, we haven't done our show since March. And we're not sure when we're going to do our show again. So It's been a very strange and uncertain time.
Mhm.
I've been fortunate enough that I've had some other work in other industries in the interim. Some people haven't. Everyone's sort of going through this, figuring out how to make it work on their own. So it's been tough.
I can imagine because now, let's say everybody in your cast has picked up side jobs here and there, and then what if you guys get called back? Do you
Um,
drop
so
anything and
we
then
do,
back, or how's that going to work?
yeah, we do have, I mean, fortunately for us, we all have a contract with Wicked still. So basically when we go back to work, you know, we all have to honor our contracts as the show has to honor their contract with us. So, we have a little bit of job security right now that I think a lot of people in our industry don't. There's a lot of uncertainty in the Broadway world about what's going to happen when this is over. And I think that, particularly for me, being in Alberta, a lot of people don't realize how big the Broadway industry is.
Mhm.
In New York, Broadway shows actually sell more tickets than all the sports teams combined.
Yeah.
So it's a huge industry, and for it to just sort of disappear right now has been a huge hit to the economy in New York and also in the United States, billions and billions of dollars. So there's so much uncertainty right now, and some shows that were running before the pandemic hit have now closed, since shows have been on pause. Some shows weren't able to open. Some shows just opened and don't really have, an audience. I mean, they have an audience, but there's a lot of uncertainty. So
Yeah.
it's been a real hit for our community.
Yeah. I was just kind of curious about because I know some people have been performing like they will because they've been because I guess you guys would be considered like NHL teams. They're actually back playing. So I'm almost wondering if like you guys are almost considered a bubble, and then you
So
guys do like stream your shows, or if that's something possible, you guys are going to be able to do.
So it depends on the show. Some shows have recorded a stream. Um, some shows had done it before the pandemic hit, recorded a performance that is now being aired.
Oh,
Some shows have gone in and recorded a live stream, but by and large, Broadway shows require a live audience. And while we can be a bubble on stage,
yeah.
it's very difficult to have it's very difficult to have 2,000 people in the audience who are all a cohort. So it,
Sure.
and by and large, social distancing in an audience is very difficult. Financially, it's not really feasible for shows to do. They have to sell a certain amount of tickets to pay for everything that happens on stage. So it really, until we can have a house full of people in the audience, we won't be able to go back to live theater. Now, that's not to say that the musical theater industry isn't performing in other ways. I just finished, well, before the holidays, just finished shooting a new TV series for Apple TV that is like a musical extravaganza. And in that way, we were able to be a cohort because we don't need a live audience. So there is art that is happening. It's just happening in a different way. But
Yeah.
will we be seeing live theater the way we knew it? Not for a while still.
Yeah. Okay, let's get into your whole Apple series. I don't know how much you can kind of talk about because sometimes when it hasn't been released yet, the production,
Yes.
it's going to be all hush, hush, hush. But if you can tell us a bit about it, what you can say, that would be fabulous.
Um, so really, I I really can only say that it's a musical. It's a musical series for Apple TV, starring some really wonderful people who you will know and recognize. Um, but that's sort of it. It should air sometime in the summer. But
Okay.
I can't
Is it
even
like, is it
tell you a
indoors?
title because I
Is it
have to be honest,
outdoors?
I don't even know the title of the show because I'm not privy to that information.
There you go. They were
So,
like, no, this, we won't even tell you the title. I know I was the same. I filmed back in like June or whatever it was, and they couldn't even tell us the name of what we were doing, and I was like, okay, that's fair. But
yeah, I mean, that happens a lot. When I do TV work, they often don't tell you the title. Like when I audition for projects in television, usually it's untitled or with a working title that it's being known by while you're filming, but that's not actually the title of the show.
yeah,
Very
I think
common.
what happens, I think it's just like music. I think where, you know, you're making the production or you're making the music and you have an original idea, but then it kind of turns out a little bit different. And then you're like, oh, well, maybe we'll call it this instead of
Mhm.
this.
Yeah, and I think, there are a lot of
Mhm.
legalities involved, particularly with TV, so and film, a lot of legalities about what they can call things and how things are titled for ratings and how things have to be rated. So I'm not part of that, so I don't really understand how it works. But I
Okay.
can tell you what I know and what I'm allowed to, and that's basically it. Stay
Yeah.
tuned sometime in the summer, hopefully, maybe. Don't even know. Don't even know if that's accurate. Who knows? Stay
Maybe.
tuned
Stay
for
tuned.
a fabulous musical series from Apple.
There we go. Perfect. Before we continue on, I just wanted to welcome those people that might be joining us here on Jess TV, Jess FM. Again, this is Connected with Carrie, and I'm your host, producer Carrie Hansen. With me tonight, I have fabulous Broadway Wicked star Marina with us. Who is your character in Wicked?
So I play the witch's mother, so I'm the mom of the Green Witch.
Ooh,
and for the rest of the show, I sing and dance in the ensemble as an Aussian resident.
Aussian.
Yeah.
Sounds very Aussie. That's cool. Okay, let's go back to the TV because with your bio that you sent me, I thought it was pretty cool, like your whole lineup that you did. So you want to explain to everyone your little, you know, performances you did on maybe SNL and some other things you did. And what was your favorite one? I want to know too.
Okay. So generally when I work on TV, I'm primarily a dancer. So generally when I work on TV, I'm doing some sort of a big dance scene for something. With SNL in particular, I was part of a very fun opening musical scene that happened starring Jimmy Fallon. Super fun, very stressful. My dog is crying. Super fun, very stressful. People don't realize how hard they work on that show and how fast they make everything happen. There is not a lot of time to do anything there, and it's mind-blowing to me how those people work. They are masters on that show. It's amazing. I would say my favorite television experience, well, I will say I just really had a wonderful time shooting this Apple TV series, and it was a dream to work on. So I would say that's probably been my favorite experience. Yeah. But I also worked on a show called Fosse Verdon for FX. I guess it was 2 years ago now. And the team for that was really fabulous. It was the same team behind the Broadway hit Hamilton. So really fabulous people to work with and for. So that was also very spectacular. But in general, for me, TV work is sort of usually a quick in and out, but the series I just shot was over a few months. So.
Oh wow, that's good because it is. It's really hard when you have little tidbits here and there, and you kind of get back into things. And oh, it's so fun. Then you get cut off, And it's like, oh, well, what can I do next? So it's nice to have a continuous, thing to do. How long did you guys take to film it?
So we filmed the whole series about, oh, there's my dog again crying. We filmed the whole series in about 2.5 months,
Yeah.
thereabouts. We did have a couple weeks for rehearsal before we started.
Does he need out?
No, he's just being fussy. He likes to be part of
Yeah, bring him out
everything,
if you have to.
but he was tired of sitting on my lap, so now he's gone to be annoying. But
That's okay.
yeah.
Anyone who's watching, it's her dog, or he's good. He's so cute. I'm glad you were able to bring him on tour, because having all the running around that you do generally, and being able to, no one can really watch him. It's nice to be able to take him with you. It's kind of a blessing in disguise, honestly.
Honestly, it's really wonderful for me to have him on the road. I don't think I would want to tour without him. It brings a little bit of normalcy, when I get back to a hotel room in a strange city. There have been times I've woken up and not even known where I am, where you're like, where am I? Am I in Arkansas? I don't know. Where am I? Yeah, so it's really nice to have, you know what I mean? It brings a little bit of normalcy to my life, and having that little cuddly body at home when I get back to my hotel room I don't know how I would do it without him.
Yeah. And that's kind of the same, excuse me, right now too, with, like you kind of said, through, our pandemic and everything, just be able to have someone that's kind of a constant in our lives, whether it's our parents or whether it's a friend or whatever. So it's kind of nice to make sure we check in on them and have them there too, because that's our support through these hard times as well. So I'm really glad you're able to kind of find something. And having a dog too, I wish I had a dog, but I'm so busy I can't have one. But I do some rescue work, so that's my dog time.
Oh, that's so nice. And fulfilling. I've fostered a couple dogs, and it's so nice to see them go to their home and have a new life. It's beautiful.
Exactly. So speaking of life, as we'll kind of get into that, how did you decide to get into musical theater or dancing, and your whole kind of journey along that way?
So it's a very strange story. I did grow up. I mean, my mom she was a teacher. She was a violinist when I was a kid, and a musician and a music teacher. Excuse me, sir. So
you're not giving me enough attention, Mom.
Yeah. So I have always been around music and dancing. I started dancing when I was like 3. I was barely out of diapers, and I was in a dance class. But, growing up in Alberta, I really didn't realize that was a viable career option. Like, nobody told me, what you can do? You could be on Broadway and get paid to sing and dance. Like, I didn't realize that. So I did go to school. I went to university at the University of Lethbridge, and I studied science. And I had sort of a weird aha moment one day. It was in a chemistry lab final where they handed me this clear vial of liquid. And I thought to myself, is this really what I want to do for the rest of my life? Like, do I want to be in some chemistry lab somewhere? And the answer to that was a resounding no. So I went home. I got together some of my dance competition videos, and I made some new footage, and I sent out audition videos to a bunch of cruise ships. And I did book a couple jobs, and I went and took a job dancing on a cruise ship. From there, I ended up in New York dancing at a ballet company. And one day I would go to these like auditions for musicals sort of on my days off, for Broadway stuff, but I thought I was going to be a ballet dancer. And then one day I happened upon an audition for the world tour of West Side Story. And I was like, wow, West Side Story, I know that show. It's beautiful. That sounds amazing. World tour, that sounds great. So I auditioned for it. I ended up booking the job, and then suddenly I was touring around Europe.
Wow.
And from there, we were at our opening night in London on the West End. We did a little stay on the West End, and the choreographer was there, and he approached me and he said, "Hey, you know, we're launching a Broadway revival of West Side Story, and do you want to be part of it?" And I said, "Yeah, absolutely." So I flew back from Greece, I think we were in. I flew back to New York from Greece. I woke up the next morning at 9:30, didn't know what time it was at a 11 a.m. audition for the director of the Broadway revival of West Side Story, booked the job, and then I was on Broadway. It was very strange.
Well, kids, so you can go from science class to Broadway in a matter of years.
I mean, quite literally. It was very strange. I don't think I've had a normal experience. In fact, I know I haven't, because everyone I've talked to has not had that experience, but that was my particular journey. And, you know, I like to say that it was sort of serendipitous and sort of the universe, like, bringing things to fruition for me. And I always I do a lot of speaking to, you know, college kids or people who want to get involved in Broadway. And the one thing that I always say to everyone is, you know, I'm proof that anything can happen. You know, I was not supposed to be in this place that I'm in life, and somehow I came to be here. So it's just proof that, you know, with a little bit of belief in yourself and work and luck, yeah, you can do it.
Absolutely. You have to chase your dreams. I think it's true. I think whatever you kind of dream of when you're a kid, it should happen when you're a little later in life. Depends. I mean, if you're an astronaut, but you know, I remember, you know, telling my parents I wanted to be in radio when I was little, and you know, I had a kind of a journey in my own little struggles in my life as well, and you know, it didn't come to be until a couple of years ago. So you never know what can happen. But I think with perseverance, somehow our little light bulbs go on in our brains, and we're like, no, I don't want to be doing this. I really want to do whatever it is that you were after, right? And so, you know, people that are listening, why not? You know, if there's something that you want to do, maybe even just check it out to do on the side to start, and then maybe you can do that full time. Who knows? You guys can be on a cruise ship too one day.
You know, but it's true. I think the thing that usually holds people back from doing what they really want to is fear. You know, first of all, fear of failure. And the funny thing is that, you know, you are the only person holding yourself back. You know, it's you.
Yeah. And comfortable. I think when we're in a comfortable spot, we're like, okay, this is great. I'm good. And then all of a sudden, you know, we regret kind of, why didn't we take this chance? Why didn't we go to that audition? Why didn't I take this part in this acting, you know, piece, whatever it was, you know? And it's like you said, fear, but also just being comfortable in life. We need to just step outside of being comfortable and going, hey, you know, if I just only try, you know, maybe just singing once at a karaoke bar, maybe it'll change my feelings of being on stage, or, you know, who knows what it can be. So I'm glad, you know, you're able to share your kind of story with us, because I don't think a lot of people understand that it can just start with, you know, a day in the lab, and it can just go, oh, well, hey, I really want to be here. And I'm glad I took that step to making, you know, this life journey, because now look at you. You know,
I mean, yeah. And in retrospect, so many things could have gone wrong, you know, with what happened and with what I did. But
do you actually regret anything along the way?
No, in fact, you know, people ask me, you know, do you wish that you had stayed in school? Do you wish that you had finished your degree? And honestly, no, because I can always go back and do that. You know, I can do it at any time. And I have no regrets. I've had a wonderful life. I've had a very exciting life. I've experienced a lot of success in my industry, um, which again is not always normal. I do realize that. But I think the most important thing that we can do is have gratitude for what we've experienced. I'm so grateful for everything that I've done. I'm so grateful for all the things that have led me here. I'm so grateful for all the people who have helped me and given me advice along the way. Gratitude is amazing. It's an amazing thing, and it's key to happiness. I'm happy. I'm happy in my life. I'm happy with what I do. I'm happy in my career. Do I have other ambitions that I haven't achieved yet? Yeah, absolutely. But again, it goes back to being comfortable and complacent. I think if you're always just happy right in the place that you're in, but you have goals in mind, you can achieve them.
Yeah, let's talk about goals because I know it's obviously a bit difficult to be able to get back on stage right now. But let's just say everything's been flowing and it's been, you're still on stage and everything's been happening. What would your goals be for this year and for the next couple of years?
So outside, oh, there's my dog crying. Outside of outside of Wicked, I have quite a few goals for, in terms of the theater world. A lot of them have to do with people that are on my bucket list to work with. So there are a few choreographers that I haven't had an opportunity to work with yet. And actually one, again, it's strange how the universe works. There's been a choreographer that I have wanted to work with since I met him over 10 years ago. Mm-hmm. And he was the choreographer for this TV show that I just shot for Apple TV. 10 years I've been trying to work with this man. He's been on my bucket list. He's amazing. He's a wonderful human. He's a fabulous choreographer. And suddenly I got to do that this year. So yeah, there are some choreographers that I'd like to work with. There are a couple directors that I'd like to work with. And there are a couple things that I would like to add to my resume in terms of experiences that I'd like to have and projects that I'd like to work on. I don't want to be too specific about them, but there are some very specific experiences that I haven't had yet in my career that I would like to check off my list.
Okay. Sometimes talking about it makes it happen and manifest.
Well, yeah, like one is definitely, I have never performed on the Macy's Thanksgiving Day Parade. I think I'm the only person who has ever worked on Broadway who hasn't performed on the parade. And really? I want to be on the parade.
I didn't even know the two were actually connected in that sense at all. I had no idea until you just said that. So interesting.
Yeah, a lot. So most shows have some sort of performance, especially the new shows that have just opened that year often have a performance on the Macy's Thanksgiving Day Parade. This year, a lot of them were pre-recorded just because of the COVID experience. But I have not danced on that square outside of Macy's on international television, and darn it, I want to.
Okay, maybe this year it'll happen.
Maybe. I'm going to put it out there in the universe.
Yes. See, that's why you have to explain it and manifest it, because then it'll happen. What about directors? Which directors would you is there, you don't have to, say all of them, but maybe if there's one or two that kind of, spark something, because I actually just, my last interview was with award winner Tony Scott, who's down in Hollywood, and he may know someone that and
well, I mean, actually the people that I really want to work with are still kind of Broadway industry people. Okay. I'm always impressed by everyone that I work with on television and film. I think everyone is some celebrity, so I'm just grateful every time I have that experience. But in terms of the Broadway world, I really would love, he's more of a ballet director, choreographer actually, but I would really love to work with Matthew Bourne. He has a company in the UK that just does really amazing work. So he's on my bucket list. There's a Broadway choreographer who, again, I have auditioned for many, many times and just never had the experience to work with. On a show, I've worked with him on some, behind the scenes projects. But yeah, so those are sort of my main ones. Yeah.
Is there a Broadway that you want to do, like a show that you want to do? That's a nice big one. I mean, I remember watching it here in Calgary at the Jubilee Auditorium, and I was like, wow, this is really cool. And then, well, of course, they just released a movie about it a couple of years ago or a year ago. And I still haven't seen it because I don't want to ruin my whole Broadway experience of seeing it live then versus on, the film. So, but that experience to me is incredible. And I'm like, I want to know how, you've already experienced it. You're there live and this is like your life now. So it's like, to me, that's like, wow, I look up to you and go, that's incredible. But you have other goals to do another musical, I'm sure.
Yeah. I mean, so I have worked on actually many musicals. Wicked and West Side Story are just a couple of them. I think I mentioned that I toured with Cats, the new revival of Cats last year, and several others in between. I think in terms of a show that I'd like to do right now, I would love to be part of a new show on Broadway, like a new story, new show. I was an original cast member of the last West Side Story revival, but it wasn't a new show, so I didn't get to develop my own character. So I would really love to do that and have that experience. All the other shows that I've done, I've gone into as a replacement. So the show has already been running, and then I've come into the show to replace somebody who's left or been injured or, moved on to another show. So I think a new show where I could make my own character and develop that from, concept to performance would be very exciting for me.
That would be super cool. What has been your favorite person or character that you've had the chance to do so far?
Well, there are a few of them. I have had the chance to perform as the White Cat in Cats many times, which is, as a kid growing up, I don't know if you ever watched, there was like a PBS special of the live performance of Cats from the West End. And I used to watch that as a little kid and dream of being Victoria the White Cat. So the first time I put on that white unitard and stepped out on stage was A, terrifying, but B, sort of a, lifetime achievement bucket list moment for me. So that's been a really great one. And I have to be really honest, I love playing the witch's mother in Wicked. She's this very sort of scandalous lady. It sounds like when I say she's a mother, it sounds very mundane, but she's very scandalous, and I love what I get to do with her. Yeah. So yeah, I think those are my two favorites.
That's cool. Is there a bucket list character that you would love to play?
Yes, I would love to play the lead in Little Shop of Horrors, Audrey.
That's a good one.
Yeah.
Okay, why? Why do you want to pick her?
I love her character arc. I think she's like funny and smart, even though she's supposed to be dumb. I think she's like funny and smart in a way. She has a really interesting arc, and I love the song. Like, I love the music she gets to sing. So that,
Do you know any of her songs?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I know many of them. Actually, I sing one in an audition all the time. It's like one of my go-to audition songs.
Okay, let's hear it.
No. No.
Jesse just sent me a little message. He's like, get her to sing or dance. And I'm like, oh, that's
no. Not without my music and
Okay, run and get it. We'll
thing.
just wait.
No.
She's like, I'm already put on the spot with all these things. Guys, come on. So what's coming up next? You said you're going to be flying back to New York here pretty soon, and you're going to be.
Yes, I am. Well, I'm going back to New York because that's where I live. But yes, I actually don't have a new project upcoming. Right now, I'm going back to New York just to be there and available for auditions. Like the film and TV industry in New York is starting up again. So I want to be there for those. There are some auditions that are coming up that my agent would like me to go to. So I'm going to be home for those. And I also have an agent in Vancouver now. So, looking for some work in that area as well. But yeah, the next thing I have coming up is hopefully when the world goes back to normal and I can go back to working for my real job at Wicked, but we shall see.
Hopefully. I really do hope that it gets to, start back up. I know one of my friends, he was like this character in a Halloween thing at Heritage Park. But again, it was such a small little audience that they were allowed, and it was outside and things like that. But it's sure, as nice as it was for him to be able to go back on stage for a little bit, it's not the same as going back to a massive theater that holds. How many does your theater hold? And which theater is it?
So it just depends. With Wicked, I'm in the touring production, so it depends on where we are. In general, I would say our audiences are anywhere from 2,000 to 4,000 people. Broadway theaters house anywhere from, around 1,000 to, I think the biggest one is about 2,200, 2,400. So, a couple thousand people.
Yeah. That's a big difference from nothing to having all these people stand and applaud your performances, right?
Yeah, it's, the audience really changes the performance day to day. It's never the same experience twice. The energy of the people who are, sitting in the seats and watching us, we feel that on stage, and it really changes our performance. So, it's a new experience for us, but it's also a new experience for the people in the audience as well. So they're as much a part of our performance, as we are on stage.
Well, hopefully you'll get back to it. Sending it out to the universe, manifest it, it'll happen.
And safely. We also don't want to put people at risk either. We don't want to be, pushing to get back before it's safe. We want everyone to be safe and healthy and to, be able to resume life in some sort of normal capacity when it's okay to do so. So.
Absolutely. Okay, well, we're going to wrap up, and thank you for coming on, first of all. Do you want to tell everybody kind of your socials so they can follow you? And
yeah. Yes, I'm on Instagram. My handle is Marina Laz, LAZZ. And I'm on Twitter, also Marina_Laz, I believe. And Facebook under my name, Marina Lazaretto. I have a fan page. So yeah, feel free to follow me. I always post what's, coming up and stuff for me on there.
All right. I will make sure I follow you up. Because I know, like, when I do up my posters for my guests and everything, I just quickly go in and I tag them, and then sometimes I even forget that I wanted to, follow them too, of course, for their support and everything. Yeah, please keep me posted on anything that's upcoming and when you might know things are opening back up. And then, hopefully I can share that out with people too. And then you can, let us know where you are. Maybe we can come see you. Fingers crossed. Like I said, hopefully things will open up back soon. Thank you again so very much for coming on to, this is my season 2. You're my episode 3. Thank you for being a wonderful guest.
Thank you so much for having me.
So talented. Like, I just want to applaud you. I'll be your crowd and I'll cheer you from afar.
Thanks so much for having me. It's been really a joy to just chat with you for a little bit.
Absolutely. So keep safe. Safe travels to you when you go back home. Alberta will miss you, but you know, you got to come back for
I
Christmas there.
Yeah,
You know, your parents need you too.
I'll be back.
There you
I'll
go.
I'll probably be back sooner than I think, but I'll be back.
You never know, right?
Yeah.
Absolutely. Thank you again so very much.
Thank you so
Have a
much.
great night. Yeah,
Thanks.
absolutely. Thanks again.
Thanks, you too.